Hello, hello, hello. I hope everyone can hear me okay. Bear with me a second. It's bloody freezing inside of my office, so I have a shawl on because it's really cold. So I'm hoping that everybody can see. And I've gone live. Perfect, perfect. Cool. So let's see who's on, who is viewing. I can see I've got a couple of viewers on. Hello, hello, Wen Baker. It's so good to see you. It's been a while. And Sarah Cook. I don't know how long you're on for, but it's great to see you, my lovely. I hope you're doing well. I'm just going to do a wee bit of a 30-second share. Bear with me a second. Oh, it says about starting conversations. I'm so confused. I hate it when it does this. I never know how to do it. Gemma, hello, lovely. Hello, hello, hello. I don't know. I have no idea how I'm going to share this. Let's see. Nope. Still no clue. It's gone. But there we go. What can we do? So I'm just gonna do a little bit of introduction about what this is going to be about, why I'm doing it. So I have been over the last week or so busying away putting together the most epic workshop I've possibly ever put together. I say that every time I do one, but I've gone away and I've done a lot of research recently around this topic of sales pages and why people struggle with them, what's going on, what are their biggest questions, and all of these different types of things. And also looking at different people's sales attempts at sales pages. Okay, so I've done a lot of this research, had a look, and I've created this epic workshop which goes through all of these different elements that people have been coming up with, the biggest questions around how do I structure a sales page, how do I keep people reading from the word go all the way through to the end and then convert them, how should they be long, should they be short, why should they be long, why should they be short, how can I make it compelling? How can I make it speak directly to the person who's reading it? And it's all of these different kinds of things, like even as far as like, where do I put images? And if I put images, what am I putting images of? What is it all about? Okay, so I'm going to give you a little sneaky insight into this workshop. And by the way, I'm just going to say from the very beginning, if you're interested in coming to that workshop, it's happening tomorrow. It will be recorded, so if you can't make it live, you can get the recording. It is a paid for workshop, and also there's one more catch. You do have to be a member of my community, Unrivaled Experts. So I'll put the links to both to my group in the comments below, so you can join and then get exclusive access to that. It is a paid workshop. It's $97 and it can be paid either in one go or in 2 lump sums. I just wanted to get that out of the way first of all, so you know why I'm talking about this. I'm talking about this today because I've been putting together this amazing workshop, but I wanted to deliver to you now for free a little bit of value from that, and talk about the biggest reason why sales pages fail, and talk to you a bit around that and about how you could go about fixing that. Okay, so that's kind of why I'm on here today. Hello, Holly. I can see Holly's on as well. So that's what I'm here to talk to you about. And so I'm just going to come out with it. The biggest reason for failure of sales pages is because you haven't done your research on who you're selling it to. So what do I mean by that? It's all about the who. So it's about being specifically speaking to one person when you're writing. And it also means that you have to remember that you're speaking to somebody who wants something specific. I've read so many sales pages recently, and I've read some amazing sales pages, and I've read some really not so good ones, and the ones that I haven't done so well are the ones that are just wanting to do something for the hell of it. So it's like, this is what I'm offering, do you want it? And that just doesn't work. It's a selfish point of view, and it's not like an evil selfish point of view. It's just a selfish point of view because of the way our brains think sometimes. We want to deliver something of value, but we're always thinking from our point of view. We're thinking about our processes, what we know will help, and it's not tapping into, which is what we need to at the first instance, is tapping into the wants and desires of other people. And when I say other people, I'm talking about a collective of specific people who have specific desires and specific problems. So people, and also, just by the way, because there's a lot of people that create sales pages, and a sales page could be anything from a paid program to a free webinar to a freebie, right? Whatever it is, like whether people are clicking to to just view it for free, whether they're buying something, you're still going to have to sell it. Just because it's free doesn't mean people are going to click. So it's really, really important to make sure that you are understanding your ideal client. And this is why people say to me, why do I have to get specific? Why? Because unless you do so, nobody's going to turn up or want to buy your stuff, because they can't see how it's going to help them. And unless they can see how it's going to help them, they're not going to be interested in the slightest. So when we're looking at a sales page, we need to be looking at communicating two very, very important things which are very closely linked and really cannot be pulled apart from each other. And that is the value of what you're offering and the transformation. So those are the two biggest things that you need to be communicating across in a sales page. Inside the paid workshop I'm going to be going through, I'm going to be going through structure. I've got a 4 simple structure which you can go through to make sure that you hit all of the elements, push all of the buttons for your ideal client to make sure that they go to that button, either click I want to view it or click to buy, so that they really get pulled through that journey. But those are the two biggest things are transformation and value. So to do that, we need to tap into what they see as value. So what do they want versus what do they need? So in the thing that you're selling, you're going to give them what they need to ultimately deliver them what they want, because we can't be dangling carrots that we can't deliver, right? We have to be able to deliver what we say we're going to deliver in the thing that we're going to do. Now, there is a big difference as well, just while we're talking about it, between solid outcomes and transformation. Okay, and I call this kind of like the solid outcome versus the success island. The solid outcome that you will deliver in whatever time frame you've promised people will be the solid outcome and the value that people immediately want. That's their kind of like juicy big want. But people also want to know what it's going to do for them in the future, because this is how we connect with people emotionally, and also it's like a double whammy, because people buy for 2 reasons. They buy emotionally first and they buy logically second. They justify their decision to buy from you with logic. And if they can see how it's going to help them in the future to become the person that they want to be, that hits the logic button and it hits the emotional button, because they want to be a certain person and they're emotionally attached to becoming that identity. So if they can see that that solid outcome is going to help them achieve that identity, wow, that's an emotional pull right there. So they need to know that that's going to happen. And on a second point, they also need to know that it's going to allow them to do certain things that will allow them to become that person. So again, it's logically justifying. They can't deal without this thing until it's in order to be able to get what they want. They have to have it. It's that puzzle piece that's really important to that journey. So when you are able to communicate that across in a way that speaks directly to that specific group of people, that's when you've got people hooked. That's when you create a sales page that is compelling, because you've got their attention with that juicy carrot, so that they continue to want to read. And then every other benefit moving on from that is just going to tip the balance and going to make people want. And I'm doing like a really shortened version, because the workshop I've got planned is probably going to go over about an hour, possibly a bit more, and then I'll leave room for questions at the end. But in a nutshell, that's what it has to do. And the reason why sales pages are successful are because of the research that goes in before you start to write it. That's what's going to create an amazing sales page. So many people get so, excited, desperate, whichever one you want to use, about selling, that they push stuff out there for the sake of it. Because I just need to sell something. Here's my value. Here it is on a sales page. Off you go. But it has to be value that's packaged up in a way that's a irresistible gift to somebody. If it's otherwise, it's like, I always use this analogy, it's like talking to your mum. It's about talking to your mum about what you do and her being like, that's lovely, dear, that sounds nice. That's pretty much what your audience are going to be doing if that's how you're working. This is my value, this is what I've got to say, here, have it. That will never work, because you've not positioned it correctly in the minds of your buyers. When you're selling anything, it's about positioning it as a juicy, irresistible, in-demand object that they cannot do without. They've got to have this thing. And when I'm saying thing, I am talking about packaged services. And you need to position them in a way that makes them understand why it's so important for them to have it and why they can't do without it. Unless you can do that for them, and that doesn't mean turning into convincing mode, because this is another thing that other people do. People turn into this convincer of, you need it because. And again, if they don't understand why, it's not going to happen. So whatever you're selling on your sales page, it has to be easily understandable. They have to, you have to be able to communicate it in a way short and snappy for them to understand how it's going to help them. And it needs to be something. So for instance, I talk about this in terms of problems. It needs to be a problem that people are aware of, or it can be easily pointed out. Because if it's not one of those two things, then you're going to be in a position to convince them that they have a problem, and it's never going to work. I had someone try to sell me their services the other day and telling me that I had a problem. And I didn't have the problem. As far as I was aware, it wasn't a problem that stopped me from doing what I wanted to do. And I was like, doesn't resonate with me. I don't have that problem. So it's realizing that not everybody needs what you have to offer. Because it's ignorant to think otherwise. We can't think that everybody needs what we have to offer, and really honing in on those people that do and tapping into their emotions, what they want to achieve, why it's stopping them, so that you can write a sales page that truly speaks to that person. So there we go. I hope that's delivered a little bit of value and given you a snippet into, how you can go about creating an amazing sales page. Do your research, look at the value and transformation for your ideal client, and get specific on who that person is. There will be more than one of that person around, so it's finding that commonality between the different people that you might be thinking of or have in your head. But also be prepared to not include some of those people that are perhaps around you, because so many people have audiences where they're like, but I've helped that person, or I could help that person, but do they want it? Do they want or need your help? If they don't, then you're going to have to move them aside. And also, if they don't fit into the majority camp in terms of the different people that you've pulled together who have that specific problem and who have that specific desire, it's talking about a different person. If they've got a different problem, then they're a different ideal client, and you need to create a new avatar for that person and sell them something slightly different. But try not to cram everybody into the same thing in the same funnel all the time, because it's just going to get confusing and it dilutes your message, and that message will then carry over onto that sales page, and it will not convert because the message isn't hitting that specific problem and that specific desire. So remember that communication of the transformation and value of somebody's specific desire and someone's specific problem, and who are they going to become, what's the identity that they're going to create for themselves once they get it, and what is the solid outcome. And don't dance. Okay, one more truth bomb down here is one I always talk about. Don't be afraid to promise. You've got to promise something, because if you're not confident to promise something, they're not going to be confident you're going to deliver. Okay, they will do their part, or they need to do their part, and it needs to be sold on that basis. But, and I always say this, you give someone a mop, doesn't mean they're going to have a clean floor if they don't use it. But you can still give them the mop, right? So what are you going to give them? What are you going to promise them that if they do the work, they will achieve what results? Be really specific and just go ahead and say it. Promise it, because unless you do, they're not going to have the confidence, and unless you're confident in yourself when you write that sales page, it's not going to come across, and you're going to be fluffing around the edges of it. So be clear, be concise, and make sure that you do your research on that person. In this workshop, I'm going to be going through structure. I'm going to be looking at the slightly at the visuals. Visuals, graphic design is not my bag, but I will be looking at that, how you can sort of create something that's easily scannable. So you've got visuals. We're going to be going through my 4-step structure in detail. I'm going to be talking in a bit more depth about that research and what bits and pieces you have to have in place before you even start writing it, to make sure that your prep is spot on, so that you can really start to speak to those people, and how you can create a compelling sales page so that when people start reading, they don't want to stop, they want to keep reading, and they're so tempted by that buy now button or click here to watch button that it's that compelling. So that's what I'm going to be delivering. That's happening tomorrow. If you want to get hold of it, then you need to be a part of my community, and I'll pop the link to the group in the comments below. You just need to join my group, and then there'll be a very obvious post in there about the workshop, which you can just click in and join. So there are limited spaces as well, by the way, and we've already sold some of the tickets, so just be aware of that as well. Right, looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing those of you who want to be a part of it in my group and in the workshop as well. And it's been fab talking to you all. I'm just going to check if you've got any questions, and no, I do not. That's fine then. But if you do have any questions, if you've been watching, do just pop up in the comments, and I'll be happy to come back and answer them for you. Have a fabulous day. Take care.